The Page Master. Again, this is one movie that freaked me out to death as a child, but has now become one of my favorites. And there are two key scenes that catapulted it to no viewing at all in childhood. One was the scene where Richard is standing in the middle of the library rotunda and the paint begins to melt off the ceiling. The distorted images of the dragon and the Page Master himself melting away, I thought it was pretty messed up. But especially, when the paint comes together and it forms the shape of an angry dragon, that was when I was running from the room as fast as Richard was from the waves of paint. I mean, my goodness. You're in the middle of a vast library where you cannot see the way out, the shelves are as tall as redwoods, there's lightning flashing every few seconds, and a tsunami of paint is washing through the aisles, ready to swallow you up. And then there came the point in the movie where Richard and his new friends meet Dr. Jekyll, and he drinks the potion that transforms him. From the moment Dr. Jekyll drinks the potion to when the horror section has ended, I was wrought with looming nightmares. Particularly... Sweet God above, I still have to turn away when he reveals himself. Like I said, these moments were both so horrible I couldn't bear to finish the movie. I love it now, but there's truly something to fear when you are in a library that is practically alive and you enter the horror section.
In this very room, waiting to strike, are forces of evil.
The Great Mouse Detective. As much as some things frightened me about this movie, it was my favorite Disney movie as a child. I loved the characters, the settings, and I might even have had the tiniest schoolgirl crush on Basil. But believe it or not, he helped to provide some of the scares for me. The way he explains to Dawson and Olivia about Ratigan, the way he builds him up, you can't help but be intimidated.
The horror of my every waking moment, the nefarious Professor Ratigan. He's a genius, Dawson. A genius twisted for evil. No evil scheme he wouldn't concoct. No depravity he wouldn't commit.
He was also very intense and brooding in the way he went about his work, and I didn't know what to make of that sometimes.
He was within my grasp. Did you say bat?
Yes.
Did he have a crippled wing?
I don't know, but he had a peg leg.
Ha! As bad as all that, eh? Worse.
And let's not forget the beginning of the film, before the credits roll. To this day, I can't watch the Disney opening logo finish and come onto the dark, foggy scene of London without feeling afraid. Particularly when you see Fidget limp up to the shop. The shadow, his eager and twisted laugh, you know that something bad is about to happen. And indeed... Jeez Louise, it still scares me. And of course, there is Ratigan himself. I count Ratigan as one of my favorite Disney villains. Not just because he is voiced by Vincent Price, but because he is so excitable and energetic about his ideas and his way of being a villain. But like Basil, he can get intense with his work. He stands by, smoking a pipe, while his giant cat eats one of his cohorts, simply for that poor drunken mouse calling him a rat. Talk about touchy. But I digress. At the climax of the film, when Ratigan sheds his clothes and chases Basil and Olivia through the gears of Big Ben, that was when I truly began to fear him. He is a big, angry rat, and Basil is a small, lean mouse. There's no guessing who the winner is likely going to be. But there is no trace of the eager, excited rat here. This creature is a monster, and he is hungry for blood, not frilly cheese crumpets. Ratigan and Basil, I love you both, in spite of the fact that you both were more intimidating than the average cartoon rat and mouse.
I won!
Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty. Somehow I always found Sleeping Beauty to be one of the grimmer movies of the Disney canon. I guess this is the one time where Walt Disney decided to take a Brothers Grimm kind of approach to the look. The colors are very muted, and so I don't think you ever see a very bright blue sky or anything that suggests an entirely safe and happy fairy tale. But while I never found the Brothers Grimm Sleeping Beauty to be that dark or frightening, this version is what helped it become so. Namely with the help of the villain, Maleficent. She is my favorite Disney villain. But like Ratigan from The Great Mouse Detective, she gave some scary thrills time and time again. Her voice, her design, and definitely the magnitude of her power lets you know that you don't ever trifle with her in the least.
Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die.
But there's one scene that really pushes her ominous power. And no, it is not that scene with her as a dragon, though I will acknowledge that as an awe-inspiring climax. It is actually at the middle of the movie, where she lures Princess Aurora to the tower, where she will ultimately fulfill the curse. I agree with most other people about the 3-note musical cue at the beginning of the scene. It sounds like it is a ghost calling out to Aurora, initiating the spell that will lead her to doom. But I think it's more the idea of being led through a vast and dark castle that causes chills. It's unsettling also when Aurora gets that glassy look in her eyes and she seems to be frozen from the waist up. You do somehow feel helpless when you watch Maleficent, because she is graceful, but her power is just undeniable. If a villain is popular enough to get her own live-action movie and make it to the top of so many villain countdowns, then there is definitely something to love as well as to fear.
Touch the spindle. Touch it, I say.
Beauty and the Beast. I truly find it ironic how many things scared me when I was little, but I wound up loving them later on. Disney's Beauty and the Beast is another such movie. The Beast is my favorite Disney prince, as well as a general Disney character. But when I was young, he scared the living daylights out of me, especially with his first reveal. I wonder if that was the filmmaker's intent, to reveal the Beast in as terrifying a way as possible so that the effect of him becoming kinder will be fully maximized. If that was the case, I think it worked. If I were Maurice or Belle and I saw this thing for the first time, I sure as heck would have screamed, especially when you first put that voice to that hulking animal form and those bright blue eyes.
So, you've come to stare at the Beast, have you?
Another thing that you might find funny, the prologue of the film, that probably scared me more than the Beast himself. I mean, granted, I thought the windows were nicely designed and it was a different idea than a storybook, but the distorted images of the characters, particularly her, I found it extremely frightening. The narrator's voice I also thought was a little too ominous to welcome you into a fairy tale story.
The spell would be broken. If not, he would be doomed to remain a beast for all time.
Like maybe that was the filmmaker's way of saying, look at these beautifully frightening images, hear this voice, and you'll be afraid to turn away anyone remotely ugly again. And then there's the portrait. Oh, sweet Jesus, the portrait. Even today, I can't find it in me to look into those huge, soulless, hollow blue eyes. Granted, they are a beautiful color when you find the courage to look, but it feels like they're staring right into your soul. And really, if this were a normal royal portrait, I would have expected them to look at least sleepy or, I don't know, normal. But nope, they are huge, wide, and utterly frightening. Beautiful now, but something to look for in the dark, then.
As the years passed, he fell into despair and lost all hope. For who could ever learn to love a beast?